All right. All right. We are live here in the NeoLife Healthy Living Community Facebook group. And I've been looking forward to this interview for several weeks now. I have the privilege and the pleasure and the honor to get to interview an NFL wide receiver for the Tennessee Titans, actually, as well as a NeoLife sponsored athlete. And also someone who's become a very good friend of my wife, Nicole, and myself, Cody Hollister. Cody, first of all, thank you so much for taking time to out of your busy day and to hop on here and let me ask you some questions.
Anything for you, bro.
I appreciate that. Before I jump into asking Cody some questions, we'd love to hear where you're coming in from. This is a group pushing up near 8,000 members here, a private Facebook community. And I know we have people from all around the country, all around Canada, and even way beyond that. So I'd love to have you drop in the comments where you're popping in from. And that's always fun to see. Also, if you hear some information on here and you want to learn more, Cody's taking his time to share with us here in this interview. But please don't reach out to Cody directly. Feel free to reach out to whoever invited you into this private Facebook community. I'm sure they could get you whatever information you might want to learn about the products. If so, if you have more questions or more follow-up. Also, we'd love to hear your experiences and your stories. So please feel free to make a post in this group. This is a community of others encouraging others with your health, experiences, your health journey, your health transformation, and of course, your positive experiences with the NeoLife products. Want to just share my screen here real quick and show you who we're talking to here. But these are just some pictures I pulled off of Cody's, or not pulled off. This is his Instagram page, Cody Hollister, and just some pictures on his page there with the Tennessee Titans. And super excited to get to have him on here with us today. So with that, Cody, I want to stop sharing my screen and jump back to you and ask if we could just start, if you don't mind, just tell everybody just a little bit about yourself, your background personally, where you grew up, your family, just a quick snapshot of your football career up to this point, colleges, high school, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm from Bend, Oregon, and if no one's been to Bend, it's this beautiful place. Everyone thinks of Oregon as rainy, but Bend is like this little pocket of just vacation town and beautiful mountains and rivers. And so I grew up there with a twin brother who also plays football for the Seahawks. Currently, he's a free agent now. And then I have three sisters: an older sister, Shelby, middle sister, Sierra, and youngest sister, Haley. My mom and dad. I have some step parents. I've just got a bunch of family there in Oregon. I was raised there, always a sports guy. Me and my whole family were a big athletic family. Mom and dad, both athletes. Dad, especially in college, played baseball. And then when we were kids, it was, especially for me and my brother, but all of our siblings, for them, it was volleyball. The sisters were volleyball, and Haley was music. And whatever we wanted to succeed at, my dad was definitely willing to give us all options to succeed at them. And just every facet of life, he was willing to make it happen for us. So at, a really young age, me and my brother, we were dead set on being NFL players. And my dad laid out like all the sports in front of us: football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer. And we played all of them. Like ever since we were little, we were multi-sport athletes, but we were just always in love with football. And so we played, but ever since we were like 9 years old, I mean, we were driven little kids. My dad instilled it in us, and same with mom. But at my dad's house, it was like, at commercial breaks, he'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm not going to make you do anything, but if you want to, every day you can do 300 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, and twice a day, and during commercial breaks and TV." And he was like, "You can do this if you want to succeed, and I'll do everything I can to help you." And so we would do body weight stuff like that to save our joints and be healthy until we were past puberty. And so my dad just coached all of our teams, coached us up in every way he could and all the knowledge he had already, and then got us help where we needed to. And but so that was, as a young kid all the way through up until high school was pretty much my dad, like, pushing us along, and so the support of my mom and stepdad and stepmom as well. But once we got to high school, it was kind of like we we had the support, but then me and my brother kind of took it to be our own. And he was a quarterback, I was a wide receiver. So we just had a blast doing that. We ended up winning state our senior year together, which was just surreal and like the biggest blessing ever. And you feel like you just won the Super Bowl as a high school kid. Friday Night Lights, or like, you literally just feel like you won it all. And we won state. So coming out of high school, we thought like we had just played 3 sports our whole life, all the way through high school. And then coming out of high school, we said, all right, we want to for sure, play college ball, and play D1 ball is everyone's dream. And we heard the statistics our whole life of the percentages, but we just never cared. My dad was, and my mom, but just speaking life into us of my dad just saying like, you will be this, and you will make it, and you will grow. And I was 5'8" sophomore year of high school. Now I'm 6'4", and so my dad just always spoke that life into us of sometimes when we didn't even believe fully. But it wasn't until after high school we said, all right, we want to play D1 ball, but we didn't get any scholarship offers. I'm talking 0 out of high school. We broke all the records as a wide receiver and quarterback, and 0 offers out of high school other than Minnesota Crookston, a D2 offered like 70% scholarship. And so we walked on the University of Nevada. And it was just embarrassing for us. I mean, it shouldn't be embarrassing, but like we thought we were going to get offers. And so my dad suggested we walk on there, and we had a talk with our mom and everyone. And we walked on to Nevada with our heads down, like almost embarrassed, because we had friends signing to places. And here we were like just humbling ourselves, walking on, paying money that we couldn't afford. So we got in $10,000 of debt each, me and my twin brother. And we looked at each other that first week of camp there, and we were like, dude, do we just turn back? Like, should we just head back and go work for our stepdad and do floors or something? And the Lord's just always never, we say like no quit is our saying, because the Holy Spirit inside of us has just never allowed us to quit in our life, even when we want to, truly. And so we just pushed through. We knew we were supposed to be there, even though it was painful. And so $10,000 each in debt later, we took out loans, and we said we couldn't afford it anymore. So we left after 1 semester, went to Arizona Western Junior College, got a full ride there by the grace of God. I don't know how. We sent in our highlights, and they offered us, and we played a full year there in Yuma, Arizona, in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking like 10 minutes from the border of Mexico, like just in a field, pretty much, like just in the middle of nowhere. And so we played there for a year, got re-recruited. I went to Arkansas. He went to Wyoming on full rides. And then we played there for 3 years. I could go into detail about that too. Just a lot of things happened. And then we ended up with the Patriots together after college for 2 years. For 2 years together, went to 2 Super Bowls together, won a Super Bowl, and then we split up. Now I'm with the Titans. He's with the Seahawks.
Hey, and
so that's a summary of the football journey.
I love it. And so you Arkansas Razorback, right? You were in the SEC there your last 2 years of college. Is that correct?
Yeah. So last three. I redshirted at Nevada, transferred to Arizona Western Junior College, and then in Arkansas for my last 3 years.
Okay. Wow. So cool. And in case anybody didn't catch what Cody said in there, is he and his brother Jacob, who's tight end for the Seahawks, as he mentioned, are twin brothers. So they were both seniors in high school. I can just picture that. You're the wide receiver. He's the quarterback. He's now obviously been shifted over to tight end in the NFL, but and you guys are the 1-2 punch, winning state, and then no full ride scholarship. I could only imagine, but that didn't stop you guys from grinding and working, and obviously both making it to the NFL, both with Super Bowl rings now to show for it, and maybe more to come. You're both still young, so that's exciting. What is it like, before we jump into the nutrition aspect of things and some questions I have for you, Cody, as an NFL wide receiver, what is it like just in general being in the NFL? I mean, I know that's a big question, but I know that's what people all want to know. What's it like?
Yeah. I mean, I think with any job, it's easy to immediately go to the hard parts, but I always got to start with the just blessing and truly, like, I was a 10-year-old kid. Every time it hit 11/11 or on my birthday, I was sitting there blowing out the candles, asking God to just play in the NFL. And so first of all, it's just a blessing. Like there's nothing I'd rather do. I love football. I love playing in the NFL. I love the guys. I love the game. I love the competitiveness, and I just love everything about it. I mean, you get paid to truly do what you love.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I've always been passionate about it since I was a little kid on Halloween, wearing a jersey every Halloween. And so it's amazing. First of all, it's just awesome. And then there's just the side of like, it's unpredictable. You know, one day I could get cut tomorrow. Like, just who knows? I've been cut, I think 5 times now, and re-signed and practice squad and 53 and cut to a different team, signed to a different team, try out, not signed, go try out somewhere else, signed.
Sounds stressful. Sounds stressful.
Yeah, it
A little
really is.
stressful.
And
Yeah.
for sure. And you got to live on that edge of stress and be willing to. And if you can't, then you're not going to sustain it. And so it's a really, you could call it stressful, but it's just a high pressure job, just like anything else. But I think any successful person has to live underneath that stress and pressure. And so I really enjoy it. I enjoy living life on the edge and with high risk, and selling my car back home and moving on a whim with a faith of like, Lord, you're going to keep me here. And I've done that where I just I got to go with a step of faith of like, Lord, you're going to open a door even before you really do. And if you don't, I'll still trust you. But, I'm going to leave everything behind. And in a month I could not be signed, but I'm just going to trust that I will. And just stuff like that, where as a single man, it's a lot easier. If I had a family, maybe a little bit more mapped out, but it's truly, there's nothing else I'd rather do. And I just love it. And then it's definitely intense too, way more analytical and intellectual than people would probably ever imagine. It's truly like calculus on the field, and especially even from college to the pros, it's just so, the coaches and the players are just you got to be intelligent to be football players get a bad stigma. And I'm not going to say everyone is one way, but very intelligent, hardworking, dedicated people in that building, in every building. But you gotta be able to be, very intellectual to be in those buildings and learn. Like, I can't even begin to go into detail of how intricate an offense is, or reading a defense, or adjustments you make, or and then having to go perform it. And so there's the intellectual side, and then there's performing it, and then so that's without even putting the action in yet. So I could talk for days on the respect we should have for coaches and these guys that just invest so much time, including ourselves. But then the reward is we love to do it, and we've always wanted to do it.
Right. Absolutely. How exciting. So that's probably a perfect segue into talking about nutrition. And I want to ask you just kind of a broader question. Then I want to kind of drill it down a little bit more as it relates to nutrition. But I mean, I think we all probably know the answer, but to this first question, but how important do you feel? I mean, we know nutrition is important to you, but how important is nutrition? If you kind of put that in perspective, or just give us a picture of how important nutrition is to you personally for your life and your career specifically, but not even related, just to not only for your career. I mean, you're dealing with stress, you're dealing with performance. There's a lot of aspects to health and nutrition, I'm sure. How important is that to you?
Yeah, I think the more you just work on your craft and anything in life, you start to fine tune the details. And for me, I never really stressed the importance of nutrition until after college. I mean, I shouldn't say terrible, but when I was at football, I ate great. But outside of that, I'm a college kid eating whatever's in front of me. And but nutrition has become really, really crucial in my life. Just a non-negotiable in my life. And my little sister Sierra has been a big part of that. She's a nutritionist now, and she's just kind of taken the reins on really studying and even influencing us. But yeah, being a professional athlete, you just start to want to take advantage of every single avenue of life, and nutrition is one of the largest ones. Like, you can't be the best you're going to be and not have a good nutritional diet. And so for me, like, when it comes to eating habits, it's really, I'm not some strict guy measuring calories or carbs. Like, I'm not that guy at all. I'm just definitely a guy that's going to eat real food and try to stick to just a real food diet. You know,
Yeah.
even Gronk, when I was on the Patriots, he said something like that, and it always stuck with me. He's like, he was joking. He's like, just eat real food, like just eat real food, and it made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not like crazy mapped out, but nutrition, and then we can even obviously get into the NeoLife stuff is everything to me. I'm gonna always, you know, fuel my body that is my job with the best of the best
Yeah.
because I want to be the best. So
And I can't relate with playing professional athlete, being a professional athlete, because I never have been and never will be. But I can
don't
relate
say
with
never.
you never know. I can relate with being a high school athlete and even a college athlete in baseball, different sport. And I can very much relate with just as a teenager, let's say, just eating anything and everything and not really giving 2 cents thought about what I was really fueling my body, not only right
Sure.
then, but for the long term career I might have had in the major leagues that I was hoping for and did never had, or the post major league or NFL career. What would you say to somebody who, I'm sure there's plenty of, elementary, high school, and even college age athletes that will be hearing this interview? What would you say to them when they're in that age of, say, high school or even younger, how important nutrition is that you might have wished you could say to your younger self?
Well, that's the thing, because you don't, just like anything in life, I mean, you could apply this to emotional health, mental health, physical health. But if you don't know, if you've never experienced healthy, sometimes you just don't know. And if all you've, for example, if you've experienced emotional dysfunction your whole life, then you don't know what functional is. And so, same thing with nutrition. Like, I just grew up, I mean, my mom fed me great, dad fed me great, but I wasn't like, I was at lunch buying the cheapest option, some Taco Bell or, whatever I could get my hands on, and barely drinking water, drinking soda, like just terrible. I thought like one bottle of water a day was good for game day. And that's probably the only days I would chug some water. And the thing is, you don't know your limit. Like, you don't know you put a ceiling on yourself because you don't know what healthy even is. So for me, like, I had no idea what it was like to play hydrated or play healthily fueled, and so it's not until you actually experience it when you're like, oh, I wasn't healthy. Because when you're not healthy, you're just like, well, this is just how it is. And you start to just buy the lie that you're like, you're at your peak performance when you're just not, until you start supplementing right and eating right and hydrating right and sleeping right. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I never knew I could feel this good. And then it's not until you feel that good when you're like, whoa, I was missing out this whole time. And so then you never want to go back to that place. But when you're in that place, you're like, yeah, this is normal.
Right. Yep, exactly. And I think so many people can relate with that, even many people, ourselves included, personally, and other people, hundreds of other people that we've talked to that even aren't athletes. They're just living a normal level of energy and what they think is their normal level of quality sleep and their normal level of vitality and other functions of life. And it's not until they start fueling well with, like you said, real food, whole food, nutrition. I love that Gronk said that. It's like, as opposed to processed food or,
Mm-hmm.
in the supplement world, supplements not based on whole food, real food, stuff from maybe natural stuff, but it's not stuff that we eat. So
Right.
it's a big difference. But anyway, pretty exciting to get to feel the difference that the body can feel when fueled properly. You mentioned your sister Sierra is a nutritionist. Is she and she's helped you a lot with nutrition and all. I want to ask you about your team nutritionist as well, but first, Sierra, is she taking the NeoLife products and does she recommend you use them?
Yeah. So me and Sierra I think we started doing it at the same exact time. I think she might have started taking it earlier than me, but we originally started taking them through Janice. And I think, you know, Janice, but
Yep.
Janice Johnson and Chad Johnson, they suggested it to me, and I have so much respect for them, where I was like, anything you say, I'll try. And so they were just so high on it because I had back surgery and just a lot of pains that, just like I just mentioned, you start to think like, oh, this is just the way it is and the way I'll feel for the rest of my life. And I got some nerve pain and all this other stuff, and my back hurts, and joint pain and stuff. And you're just like, you leave it to like, I'm just getting older and played football. And you just start like, saying those things are okay. But I talked to Janice and she was like, no, like God wants you healthy and all this different stuff. And I was like, all right. And she was like, you got to just try this. And I'm trying to talk all sweet like her, but she was like, you got to just try this. And I was like, all right, I'll run it through my guy and see if it checks off and everything. And so did some research on it, sent it over, and it passed through at least. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just give it a trial run because I wasn't just about to like sign something and not know it. And so I tried it for like 3 months. I took it every day.
Sorry to interrupt you, Cody, but when was this? Just so everyone can know the timeline. When you tried it for 3 months, I want you to keep going, but was this last summer?
Yeah, last summer. So
okay.
Like
2020, summer of 2020.
Yeah, like June, July, August range, or maybe even before that. So like May, June, July range.
Yep.
And so I started trying it, and at first, you're just taking supplements. You don't know. I mean, you're peeing like neon yellow, but you're like, I don't know what it's doing to me. And then it wasn't like for me this some drastic like day where I'm like, oh, I just feel amazing. I was just suddenly being like, I feel kind of good. And I don't know if it's some drastic thing, but I'm just feeling well. Like I'm just feeling healthy. And it's not like I'm sitting there looking in the mirror, just like, oh, now I'm suddenly jacked up. It was just like, no, I just feel like healthy. Like my joints feel good. And so me and Sierra started taking it. She would just take Pro Vitality and I would take all the stuff I'm taking.
Like what? Go ahead and share for all the listeners live, and they'll be listening to the replay. What do you take?
Gosh, I take a lot. The Pro Vitality, the nutrition pack, the sports pack, which has all that stuff in it. And then I take the protein powder, the sports protein powder, the whey protein. I take the salmon oil. I take the motion one. What's it called? The
full motion. Yep.
Full motion.
Yep.
I take.
You take endurance.
Like there's a couple others. Those.
Do you take endurance and biotone? Endurance. And biotone or no?
The biotone at night. Yeah.
Okay.
So I take both, but I do so the one during the day and then one at night.
Yep.
And so I at least definitely take all those. And then you gave me some of the immune defense one.
The tray drink or the phyto defense. Yep.
That and then the phyto defense. And so I pack every day. I'm on it and packing it and I've loved it truly. Like the shakes I do 2 a day. Just supplement it with what I'm eating and then the supplements are great. And like I said, I mean, it's just, I feel healthy. And this last season for me was the first season, I think, in my NFL career where I made it a full season without ever sitting out given I wasn't playing a lot of games, I played 2 games, but other seasons, I had things for sure. And some were like big things, roll an ankle really bad or separate a shoulder, or back surgery, or, big things. But it just felt nice to, at least in my head, be like, no, it was a healthy season and I feel really good. And
right.
So yeah, me and Sierra have been taking it for a while now. She loves it. She says she feels good. And I'm definitely, without a doubt, I already told my marketing guy, like, I want to continue doing it. When this expires, I want to sign up again and do another contract. And
I love it. And I want to ask you about the sponsorship and NeoLife, not paying any of their sponsored athletes one single dollar, and why you would do that for no money when other companies would pay you and offer to pay you. So I want to circle back around to that before we wrap it up here shortly. But new team nutritionist, want to ask you about that, back to your program and what you're taking. Do your team nutritionist, like say for the Titans now, or with the Patriots in the past, your first 2 years in the NFL or 2 or 3, do they give a specific regimen to each player, or do they just leave it up to you, or what, just without going into too much detail on that, just big picture, like what is their role in that? How does that work?
Yeah, it just depends on the team. So just like any business, every team is different. And so you may have a nutritionist on one. I've only had two teams, the Patriots and Titans, and they both have nutritionists. But it's really like up to the player of how much you want to utilize them. And so, I don't really talk to ours a ton, but she's awesome. But for me, it's like, you're a professional athlete. And so it's kind of subject up to you and what you want to do and your workouts and what you eat. And everyone's so different. They know their bodies at this point. And so for me, I definitely would kind of filter through my trainer back home, Kevin Boss, and even my sister, and people that I'm working with all the time,
and Janice.
So yeah,
and Janice.
And Janice.
Okay, I gotta ask you, Cody, why? What was it about Janice and Chad who shared NeoLife with you? Because they're not for the thousands of people in this group that don't know who they are. They're just regular Joes. They're amazing people. I know them personally. They're actually my cousins, but they're not in the NFL, and they're not nutritionists, and they're not medical doctors or anything like that. They're not in health, professionally at all. What was it about them that was able to grab your ear and have you pay attention to what Janice was sharing with you about how NeoLife was so unique for an NFL player like yourself?
It was honestly just my trust with them. I mean, even as human beings, they're these strong believers who the Lord totally blessed us with to have over quarantine time, a few months there early last year. And we just got to bond with their family, and it was really just their testimony of even the product of their lifestyle and all their kids and seeing them literally, like, if you haven't seen their family, I mean, they're just this amazing family, bunch of freak athletes, and they're healthy. Chad and Janice are healthy and full of life. And so for me, it was just like her word meant everything to me. I trusted her. And so for her to bring it up, I knew it wasn't some incentive. It was just like, no, I really want you healthy. Like more than anything, it could benefit her. It was just genuinely like, gosh, I want you whole and healthy. And because I was in some pain and stuff. And she just brought it up. She was like really inspired to just see me healthy. And so it was really just trusting her word. And then I said, I'd try it out myself. And once I tried it out, I was all on board.
Yeah. So if I heard you right, your trust for them, the vitality and athleticism and health within their own family, and their track record of using them for, I don't know how long now, probably close to 20 years.
For sure.
So that's what you saw. That makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Well, I'm glad you did. And as a result, I'm glad we got to meet and we've got to be great friends. And I believe you're healthier because of it, which it sounds like you believe that too, which is exciting.
Sure.
And I did want to ask you too, I mean, do you view this as more than just performance and recovery today? Are you viewing this as nutrition for a lifetime too, for your mental health and your immunity and your, aging? It's a long way away at 26 or however old you are, 26, 27, when you start thinking about 50, 60, 70s, 80-year-old, but believe me, it gets here pretty quick. I'm getting ready to turn 50 in a year, so I know, but it's flown. But anyway, do you think about all those other facets of health too, besides just performance today?
Oh, for sure. That's why I'm even taking it. Is I don't want to take something that I'm trying to just, use for a certain amount of time, and then your body's just like, and then switching up to something else, and you're like on this roller coaster ride of supplements. And I want something always in food, and anything I want to be sustainable. And so with NeoLife, it was definitely just like a more of a healthy lifestyle instead of, some season of life. For me, it's like something I want to continue doing. And so for me, it was, football is a part of my life right now, and hopefully, God willing, will be a lot longer. But NeoLife for me isn't just, geared towards football. It's definitely just my healthy lifestyle of living. And so that would continue, till the day I go to heaven.
Yep. Exactly. Love that mindset. So important. I don't know how many have that as athletes at your age, but hopefully many do. Anyway, hey, I've got two final questions for you, really three before this one. But I know some athletes or parents of athletes or athletes have the concern, rightly so, if they're taking NeoLife products, how would they do on a drug test for, a performance enhancing drug test? maybe at a college level or Olympic level or professional level. You've been tested at least once or twice or maybe 3 times now since being on these products since last summer. Is that correct? And how did the test show up for you?
Yeah, so that was a big concern of mine in the very beginning. I was like, will I pass? Because there's no way I can risk doing that, because if
Right.
you fail a drug test for football or any sport, you're suspended, you're paid, you don't get paid, probably get cut, and so I wasn't gonna risk that. And so I like I sent it to people I trusted and had them check it off. And then I looked at every single thing on there and ran it by what's legal and the NFL and stuff. And it all seemed to pass. And I mean, even though I knew it was going to pass, even like the drug test day, I was like, right. Hopefully I'm good.
Yeah, it's your career.
But
Everything.
I really did know I was good, but still, I mean, anyone would just wonder. And yeah, I mean, I was tested a couple times. I don't even know how many times. We get tested so much. Sometimes I don't know if it's sometimes for like a PED or weed or whatever. I'm just taking tests a lot. But yeah, definitely a couple times for PEDs and it got to where I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. I just knew I was good and taking all my stuff and everything.
Yep. Love it. Love it. So for anyone that might be concerned about that, that's something I'm sure they'd want to hear
Yeah,
from firsthand experience.
you can take the word from someone who was like, I'm the most skeptical of any product and I want to make sure because I've worked my whole life and I would never put that at risk. And so you can be at ease from my words of just being like, you're good. I mean, all the products I take, I can't speak on every single product, but the products that I just named off, are for sure. I've been taking those every day for the past months and like almost a year now or whatever, and taking plenty of drug tests. So I'm good.
Yep. Awesome. Love it. 2 last questions. And I kind of alluded to this one a minute ago. I believe you've said you've been offered, compensation from other, say, nutritional companies, supplement companies or whatnot. And NeoLife has many sponsored athletes around the world, call it or Olympic athletes, professional athletes in various sports. And NeoLife does not compensate their sponsored athlete like Cody $1 single. So can you confirm you have had other offers of compensation from other companies that I'm understanding correctly, and that you chose NeoLife to become a sponsored athlete, and it was like a 1-year contract? And as you just said on this interview, you want to up that again when it renews in the summer or whenever, but for $0, dollars paid to you. Is that true? And if so, why would you choose NeoLife over other companies that might pay you?
Yeah, so I've never had a company like say they'll give me money just to be with them, but they've definitely offered their product. And then like if I promote it, I've had stuff where they're like, hey, we'll give you a certain amount or whatever. And but for NeoLife, it was so about, because I could go through other companies and get like a chunk of stuff there and then promote them and great, and then I could get like my supplements over here and collagen and different things. But with NeoLife, it was like all inclusive, which I just loved. It was like, I know I'm getting all my stuff, it's all on the same page. And yeah, some of it, like, would I like to be paid for it? Like, sure. But then with them, it was just all inclusive. And I just so well trusted to the point where when I was trying it, before I tried it, I wasn't sure. I was like, maybe I won't even like it. But once I started trying it, I was like, okay, I really like this and I really like it. And so I was willing to, at that point. At first I was going to sign a longer contract and I wasn't set on it. And so I was like, you know what, let's just do a year. Because once you sign with one product, you can't promote any other products. So other products can't send me stuff and I promote it. Like, it's just against the agreement. And so you got to be, sure. But I was, so I said a year so that I could test it out and then not like confine myself to one product. But after this year, like, I already texted my marketing guy. He didn't even bring it up. I just texted him like, hey, sign us back up, man. Let's do this thing again. And because without a doubt in my mind, I'm just like, there's no question I want to do it. so NeoLife, yeah, it just sold itself, honestly, for me. I was probably one of the most skeptical people you'd ever know in the very beginning. And I'm not just gonna, you know, think that something's happening and convince my body emotionally. It's like, no, I got to really see results. But I'd be the first to be like, yeah, my skepticism was crushed. And now I'm going to re-sign up my contract and everything. And I mean, that's just the truth in itself is I just love it. I really do love it so much to where I want to stick with them, regardless of if someone offered me to pay me something, it would just cringe because I'm like, yeah, it'd be nice to be paid, but it's just, I can't go away from NeoLife. I just love it too much.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's a super powerful, it is a super powerful testimony to the products. I mean, it's one thing for people to say something that they're getting, paid to say. It's another thing, again, for someone to make the choice to be here, taking what they believe is the best nutrition they can, real food, as you said, nutrition they can be fueling their body with, and even foregoing the ability to be able to earn income from other companies that might want to, give you paid endorsements or whatnot.
And
So
just like the values of the company is what because like even Janice mentioning, some Christian background and even just like high integrity behind, if you're on it and you guys are all like part of the leadership, and then I'm like, all on board for, it's the leadership like that you're willing to, not even, if someone offered me to pay me something, I'd be more willing to take a hit or less than with someone that I just like is for me, like for the kingdom or like for leadership that I really agree with or trust. And so part of it is the people of being like, gosh, I just love the people so much that it makes you feel like more of a family than a product or like, a workhorse or something.
yeah, more than just big business. Yeah, I feel the same way. Last question for you, Cody. Thank you so much for your time. I know this has gone longer than I told you, but I've had so many questions that I wanted to ask you, and I think our listeners probably want to hear the answers to, and you've done a great job sharing from the heart, your perspective, and a lot of golden information for up and coming athletes that I'm sure many would love to follow in your footsteps and have an NFL or NBA or whatever kind of Major League Baseball, whatever it is, career themselves. But how do you see your future? My last question for you. How do you see your future just in general, moving forward, career-wise and beyond, now that NeoLife is a part of your, obviously a year ago, you didn't know about NeoLife. So now you do. How do you see the future today differently, maybe even than a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, with my health, especially when I had back surgery, you can so easily get caught into the mindset of like surviving and like, oh, how far can I push my career and how long can I last, pretty much. Like you feel like you're lasting,
Right,
and surviving and getting through. And that's just people in life, like a wrong belief system of like, I guess got to like push this career a little bit longer and right before I break.
right.
But then my mindset has completely changed. I feel like the Lord first changed my mindset, and then it was not a coincidence that NeoLife came in right alongside that of like, no, this is not a survival mindset of like just pushing through, barely scratching by the last of your, to try and get a career out of this. Or it's more just like, no, I can have a very healthy lifestyle and even a career that is very healthy and sustainable and yeah, and just healthy living, even past football. Like I don't want to come out of football and be like, oh, I'm all beat up. And like, I just don't think that way anymore. When I started to believe that lie of people, when they're like, I'm just old. It's like, no, you're not just old. You can be very healthy. You can be young, you can be living, you can be active. And so not believing that lie anymore. And NeoLife so promotes that. And that's what I love is in football, I want to be healthy. I'm never going to start being like, I'm just getting beat up and whatever. It's like, no, I'm going to be the most healthy, best athlete, just, I want to take my career as far as the Lord will let me, as long as he'll let me, for years. My desire would be for years and years to come, and to have a lot of success. And that, like I've told God, that's what I desire. And I'm just going to continue to work and then trust him with that. And then past that, just a very healthy lifestyle. I play music and I sing, but then I just love an active lifestyle, hiking, traveling, doing everything. I'll always be an athlete and competing, and so I see NeoLife just being, you know, influential in my life past just football, but it's just an active lifestyle and a healthy lifestyle,
Yep.
Which is so far beyond a sport. So I'm excited for that for sure. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. And again, I thank you so much for taking time to let me interview you here in the NeoLife Healthy Living Community Facebook group. It's been a lot of fun. You've dropped a lot of golden nuggets here, some great information. And again, thanks again, and look forward to seeing you in person hopefully soon. Have a great rest of your day, Cody. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. And by the way, for everyone else, before I hit end here, if you want to learn more about the NeoLife products, as I said in the beginning, please get back to the person that invited you to this Facebook group. I'm sure they'd be happy to help point you in the right direction of the sports line supplements that Cody is taking and was talking about today. So until next time, have a great day. See you, everyone.